Linh-chan and Dimi-chan play games.
Welcome back, Chan-chan.
Welcome back, everyone. Oh, you started.
Oh.
Lynn started, everyone. I'm so proud of her.
I started for the first time, really?
Yeah.
Oh, welcome back. There you go.
I kept encouraging her so many times.
To start. I'm very shy.
Well, hopefully we can get to know everyone better now. And he really wants to get to know us. He's like shaken. But we were talking about how like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, last time we were talking about dialects and accents.
So specifically, how like it's often considered in linguistics that you can think of language kind of organically, kind of like species are. Like they diverged from a single point, and then changed from there. So standard American English kind of changed from standard British English about 300 to 400 years ago, right? And at that point, like the languages evolved differently from there on. Yeah, safe. And it can kind of be said that because of this, American English is in a way older than British English is, kind of maybe counterintuitively. But British English has changed more than American English has over the past 300 years. For example, the word fall is very archaic. And it's much more common to use the word autumn in most languages. And like French is l'automne.
Okay.
And it's only in American English that we still use fall. And the same can be said of Canadian French as well. So Canadian French uses older French words. I wish I had examples. And it changed less than modern French has, which is maybe like counterintuitive. So I don't know if we mentioned this last time, but like French is a language that has not changed for a very long time. Do you remember how I was saying like you can pick up a book from the 1500s and it wouldn't, like a French person would be able to read and understand it?
Yeah, but that's because the language hasn't really changed. They refuse to change.
Oh, there's a fortune teller there.
I mean, I really don't know much about these languages. I never study it, so what are you trying to say?
I don't know. I am Madame Clairvoy, a seer of dropped items. I don't know why I have a Russian accent. I am in Mansion of Luigi. It's supposed to be Italian accent.
Pasta
Primavera.
Yeah, that one.
If you find someone's dropped items, you should bring them to me. I will show you the extent of my vision. So this is foreshadowing that we're going to be able to find Mario's lost items. Like, very soon, I think we're going to find one.
So on the topic of English and accents and, just language in general, Dimi-chan and I had a discussion about the about the difference between spoken and written English. Because I could never understand Dimitri whenever he reads something to me. Doesn't matter what it is. I can never understand him whenever he just reads to me. Like directly from a book or anything at all. I have very poor comprehension skills. So and that's mostly because written English is very different from spoken English.
They're two different languages. Like people,
yeah, pretty much.
People think that like you're learning the same language. You're not. You formulate sentences very differently when you're speaking rather than when you're just writing. You spend a lot of time like thinking about what you're gonna write when you're gonna write something. Whereas when you speak, you just speak. It's a there's a specific term for that. Like when you're stream of consciousness. There we go. So when you're speaking, it's very much a stream of consciousness, and that's not at all true when you're writing.
Yeah. So when you
And there are rules for when you're writing that they teach you in school.
Yeah. And it's interesting that like we don't think too much about it when we speak or when we write. We just think of it as, oh, it's part of that package called English, you know?
Yeah.
We don't really think much about it. But if you ever look at writing, like, and it depends on what kind of writing it is. If it's like a normal like light novel fiction, then it's most likely it's very similar to our spoken English. But if you look at like articles
like newspaper articles,
or like scientific articles that are like findings
like
or
journals.
journals, like the style of language, the choice of words, you know, the structure of it, it's very different from how we would speak, you know. It's more intellectual.
Yes. And the reason why we consider it intellectual is because guess what? You need to be educated to understand any of it.
Yeah.
And the reason why people find it so difficult is because guess what? It's not at all how you speak. It's a different language. You're learning a second language when you're learning to write and read.
And I think the reason why spoken English is very different from, or spoken language in general, not just English really. Spoken language is very different from written language is because I think if we speak the way we would write, we would waste so much time. We would not have enough time to convey everything that we want to say. I think that's part of the reason why when we speak, we omit certain things or we use simpler choice of words.
Heck,
you know?
we don't even insert spaces when we're talking.
Yeah, and we're just rambling on and on. Like
it's
there's no proper.
Not like we talk like this.
Yeah, there's no proper punctuations or anything like that. We just talk. And I think part of it is to, you know, the whole point of speech is to convey your message to someone in the fastest way possible, in the shortest way possible. You know. So it's really interesting how we take things like this for granted sometimes.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's light this. Oh, he's very afraid of fire. Now we need to follow him. But yeah, so like I kind of wish they teach you these kind of things in school. They kind of like skip over it entirely, and then they give you like bullshit reasons why, like, oh, put I before E, except after C. And they don't tell you that, like, oh yeah, that's just because historically English has borrowed words from all these different origins, and if you look at words from this origin, they all have I before E. If you look at words from this origin, they all have I after E. You know, sometimes it's as simple as that, and they just ignore that fact conveniently. But yeah, it's kind of
maybe I mean in school I feel like you don't learn these things in depth until you reach college, and that's only if you pursue that interest. So maybe teachers don't know it either. Maybe that's the reason why they don't teach us that in school or in K through 12. Maybe because they don't know it. They just know that these are the rules and you just apply them. They don't know the reasoning why. The reasoning behind why you do certain things. No?
Yeah, well, I know, like, specifically, I didn't even know linguistics was a thing. I found it by accident. I was like, oh, this seems kind of cool to learn. And then when I realized what it was, I was like, yeah, this is
the study
ingenious.
Of language.
Like, it's a shame I didn't learn any of this going forward, you know?
It's really interesting.
Oh, lots of... Look, gold bars. Money. I like money in this game. I don't like money in real life all that much.
What? Don't say that. Why are we doing this channel?
For the love. To capture these ghosts. I've always wanted to capture ghosts.
For our big long-term goal, right? To build that school that we mentioned before.
Yep. One day.
That's why we're doing this.
One day when this channel makes us $60 million, I'll open a school. You found Mario's hat. I wonder if you can bring it somewhere.
Oh, what is that thing? If Mario's hat in there, does that
It's a laundry machine.
Does that mean they wash him too?
I think so.
Like they just threw him in there?
Oh, did I mess up? I think it took too long. I need to go find the butler again. Mr. Butler, where are you? Where's the butler? Didn't this thing just go here? No, I guess not. Mr. Butler, where are you?
You need to go back in the hallway.
Yeah, probably.
He was patrolling.
Yeah.
Is that the word, patrolling?
Yeah.
Yeah. English is such a hard language. Sometimes I would say stuff and I'm like, is that even a word? I realize I make up a lot of stuff. I make up a lot of words because I don't know how it works. Like, it sounds right.
Well, you have your own intuition as to how it's supposed to work, and thankfully your brain is good at doing that, you know? It makes things simpler.
I mean, that's how language become a language, really. It's by making up things, and then if everyone accepts it, then it becomes a word. Kind of like the word ain't. I know ain't wasn't a word. Like AIN''T, it means like
it ain't a word.
Yeah. So ain't for the longest time is not a word, but enough people use it now. It is a word. You know. So maybe just if I start to use whatever words I make up enough, everyone will catch on, and then it'll become a word.
Yeah. Like, we made up a word called Akachou.
Yeah.
So we just need enough people to use that word, and then it'll become a standard Japanese word. Of course.
So Akachou comes from arigato, which is Japanese for thank you. And when I was learning Japanese, I would practice with Dimitri, and sometimes I stutter a lot and I mumble a lot. So one day, I don't know what we were talking about, but I was like saying, I wanted to say arigato, but somehow it came out as akachou. And then since then, that word just stuck with us. So,
well, it's cute.
So now we use akachou to mean thank you.
So in a way, we have Lenitrinese, right?
Yeah, so
between the two of us.
Yeah, we make up words between the two of us. So.
I mean, if it makes sense to someone, then we're doing the right thing, communicating, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point, is to communicate between people. So if you make up a language and it works, then it works. Well, we'll find out where this key leads next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye. Linh-chan, Linh-chan, Dimi-chan, Linh-chan, Dimi-chan.